February 2017, Toronto, Canada. Jordan Peterson stands before a lecture hall of 300 students. He's about to say something that will change everything. But before he speaks, he pauses. He looks at the audience with an expression that can only be described as dread. Then he says it. What I'm about to tell you, most of you aren't ready to hear. Some of you will reject it. Some of you will be angry. And a few of you will never be the same. He takes a breath. Carl Jung discovered something about the human psyche that cannot be unseen. And once you understand it, you'll realize why the world is the way it is, why people do what they do, why chaos always returns. 3 students walked out. Peterson kept talking. What he revealed that day wasn't in any textbook. It wasn't part of the curriculum. It was pure Jungian doctrine, the kind Jung himself warned against sharing too freely, the kind that breaks people or awakens them. Jordan Peterson, clinical psychologist, professor, public intellectual. To millions, he's known for his lectures on responsibility, order, and meaning. But beneath the surface talks, there's something darker, a thread of Jungian mysticism that Peterson rarely speaks about directly, because Jung didn't just study the mind, he descended into it. He mapped territories of the psyche that most people deny exist, and Peterson followed that map. For over 3 decades, Peterson has been teaching Jung's most unsettling ideas, not the sanitized versions you find in pop psychology, the real ones, the shadow that devours you from within, the anima that possesses your soul, the confrontation with chaos that either transforms you or destroys you. Tonight, we're going into those teachings, the ones Peterson hints at but never fully explains, the ones rooted in Jung's most occult work, the ones that reveal not just how the mind works, but what lurks inside it. This is the Hidden Codex, where ancient wisdom meets modern power. Before we descend further, I need to tell you something. This channel exists for those who refuse to live on the surface, for those who sense there's something deeper, something hidden beneath the stories we're told. If that's you, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications, because what we explore here at the Hidden Codex isn't comfortable. It's not easy, and it's definitely not for everyone. But if you're still watching, you already know that. Now, let's go deeper. Peterson talks constantly about order and chaos, but what he doesn't often explain is what Jung actually meant by chaos. Most people think chaos is just disorder, randomness, lack of structure. Jung saw something else. He saw chaos as a living force, a presence, an entity that exists both outside us and inside us. In Jungian terms, chaos isn't just abstract. It's the dragon, the devouring mother, the abyss that stares back. And Peterson knows this. In his lectures, he'll say things like, "You need to confront chaos voluntarily, or it will confront you involuntarily." Sounds motivational, right? But here's what he's really saying. There is a part of your psyche that wants to destroy you, that wants to pull you into darkness, that feeds on your fear, your weakness, your refusal to face what's real. Jung called this the encounter with the unconscious. Peterson calls it the journey into the underworld. Same thing, different words. And both men agree, if you don't go there willingly, it will drag you there anyway. Peterson often references a period in Jung's life between 1913 and 1917. He calls it Jung's confrontation with the unconscious, but he rarely tells you what actually happened. So let me tell you, in 1913, Jung began experiencing visions. powerful, overwhelming, terrifying visions. He saw floods, destruction, blood covering Europe, cities collapsing. At first, he thought he was going insane. Then World War I broke out, and Jung realized the visions were real, not literal predictions, but psychic realities, manifestations of collective unconscious forces rising to the surface. He understood then that the psyche wasn't just personal, it was transpersonal, connected to something vast, something ancient, something that moved through history like a living current. And Jung decided to go deeper. He began what he called active imagination, a process of dialoguing with the figures that emerged from his unconscious, not metaphorically, actually speaking to them, listening to them, recording what they said. For years, Jung descended into his own psyche. He met guides, demons, goddesses, shadows, and he documented everything in what would later become known as the Red Book, a text so strange, so mystical, that Jung refused to publish it during his lifetime. Peterson has read the Red Book multiple times, and when he talks about confronting chaos, he's talking about this. He's talking about the deliberate descent into your own inner hell. Because Jung proved something. The unconscious isn't passive, it's active, it has intentions, it has beings, it has a will, and if you ignore it, it takes control. Peterson says, you need to make friends with the monster inside you. But what does that actually mean? It means recognizing that you have a shadow, a part of you that is capable of terrible things, violence, cruelty, destruction. Most people repress this. They say, I'm a good person, I would never do that. Jung and Peterson both say, that's the most dangerous mindset you can have, because when you deny your shadow, it doesn't disappear. It grows, it festers, and eventually, it erupts. Peterson often tells the story of ordinary people who became Nazis, people who thought they were good, moral, kind, and then, given the right circumstances, they participated in genocide. How? Because they never confronted their shadow. They never acknowledged their capacity for evil. So, when the conditions arose, the shadow took over, and they didn't even recognize it as themselves. Jung wrote, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. That's the warning. The more you ignore your darkness, the more powerful it becomes. Peterson's version. If you think you're incapable of evil, you're dangerous, because you won't see it coming when it emerges from within you. So what's the solution? Integration. You have to consciously acknowledge your shadow. You have to look at the parts of yourself you despise, the anger, the resentment, the cruelty, the selfishness. And instead of pushing them away, you have to own them. Not act on them, but own them. Because here's the twist Jung discovered. The shadow isn't just your evil, it's your power. All the traits you've repressed, they contain energy, strength, vitality. The person who integrates their shadow doesn't just become whole, they become dangerous, in the best way. They can protect, they can fight, they can stand firm when others collapse. Peterson says it like this: you should be a monster, an absolute monster, and then you should learn how to control it. That's shadow integration, not denying your capacity for darkness, but mastering it. Now here's where it gets even stranger. Jung didn't just talk about the personal unconscious. He talked about the collective unconscious, a layer of the psyche that exists beyond your individual experience, a realm of archetypes, primordial images, patterns older than civilization. And Peterson believes in this completely. He talks about it constantly: the hero, the tyrant, the wise old man, the virgin, the trickster. These aren't just stories. They're structures, patterns built into the human psyche, inherited across generations. Jung believed these archetypes exist in a dimension outside time, that when you encounter them, you're not creating them, you're discovering them. And Peterson agrees. In his lectures, he'll say, "These myths aren't invented. They're perceived. They emerge from something real." What does that mean? It means the dragon in every ancient myth isn't just a symbol. It's a representation of a psychic reality, a force in the collective unconscious that every culture encountered independently. The hero's journey isn't a narrative structure. It's a map of psychological transformation that appears in every culture because it reflects something true about the structure of the psyche itself. This is where Peterson's Jungian side becomes almost mystical. Because if archetypes are real, if they exist independently of individual minds, then what are they? Jung called them psychoid, existing at the boundary between mind and matter, between the psychological and the ontological. Peterson doesn't use that language often, but he believes it. He believes there are real forces, real patterns, real entities operating in the collective unconscious. And when a society loses connection to those patterns, chaos emerges. That's why Peterson is obsessed with mythology, with religion, with ancient stories, because he sees them as survival manuals, instructions for navigating the archetypal realm. Ignore them, and you get lost. Let's talk about the anima. Jung described the anima as the feminine aspect within a man's psyche, the unconscious feminine, the soul image. And Jung warned, if you don't relate to your anima consciously, she will possess you. Peterson rarely talks about this directly, but it's there, beneath the surface of his lectures on relationships, on meaning, on chaos. Because the anima isn't just your feminine side. She's a force, an autonomous entity within the psyche, and she demands recognition. If a man ignores his anima, she manifests in dangerous ways, through obsessive attraction to women who embody her, through moods he can't explain, through dreams that haunt him. Jung believed the anima could destroy a man if he didn't learn to dialogue with her, to understand what she wanted, to integrate her into consciousness. Peterson hints at this when he talks about men who become aimless, nihilistic, lost. Often, it's because they've lost connection to meaning. And in Jungian terms, meaning is mediated by the anima. She's the bridge between ego and unconscious, between order and chaos, between the known and the unknown. Without her, a man becomes dry, mechanical, soulless. With her, he becomes creative, inspired, alive. But the relationship is dangerous, because the anima can deceive. She can lead you into illusions, into fantasies, into destruction. That's why Jung called her a soul guide, but also a soul destroyer. Peterson's take: you need to find the balance between order and chaos, and that balance is always mediated by the feminine. He means it literally, not politically, not socially, psychologically. The feminine principle within you is what allows you to navigate uncertainty, to be open to new possibilities, to dance with chaos without being consumed by it. But if you let her take over completely, you drown. Here's something Peterson talks about that most people miss. He says, you need to tell the truth, or at least, don't lie. Sounds simple, but in Jungian terms, This is massive, because lying isn't just about deceiving others, it's about deceiving yourself. Every time you lie, you create a split in your psyche, a gap between what you know and what you pretend to know, between who you are and who you claim to be. And that gap becomes inhabited. Jung called this psychic fragmentation, the creation of sub-personalities, parts of yourself that split off and operate autonomously. Over time, if you lie enough, you lose track of what's real. You become a collection of masks, none of them fully you. And eventually, you don't know who you are anymore. Peterson says, if you don't tell the truth, you become possessed by your own lies. That's not metaphorical. In Jungian psychology, possession is real, not in a supernatural sense, but in a psychological sense. When you deny parts of yourself, when you repress truths, those parts don't disappear. They become autonomous complexes, and they take control. You become possessed by your own shadow, by your own anima, by your own lies. And you act out behaviors you don't understand. You make decisions that sabotage you. You become not yourself. Peterson's obsession with truth-telling is rooted in this. It's not moral advice, it's protective magic. Tell the truth, and you stay integrated. You stay whole. You stay you. Lie, and you fracture, and something else takes over. Jung discovered something in his work with patients, something he called synchronicity, the meaningful coincidence, events that have no causal connection, but are connected by meaning. You think of someone, and they call. You dream of something, and it happens. You need an answer, and a book falls open to the right page. Most people dismiss this as chance. Jung didn't. He believed synchronicity revealed something fundamental about the nature of reality, that mind and matter aren't separate, that there's a deeper layer where they intersect. Peterson believes this too. He talks about it carefully, because it sounds insane, but he's experienced it, and he knows Jung was onto something. In his lectures, Peterson will say, "Pay attention to what attracts your attention." That's not random advice. That's Jungian doctrine, because Jung believed the unconscious communicates through symbols, through images, through synchronicities. And if you're paying attention, if you're watching for the signs, the unconscious will guide you, not through logic, through meaning. Peterson applies this practically. If something calls to you, follow it, even if you don't understand why. That's trust in the unconscious, trust in the archetypal process, trust that there's a deeper intelligence operating beyond your conscious awareness. And if you follow it, it leads you toward individuation, toward becoming who you actually are. Which brings us to the final teaching, the one Peterson circles around constantly but rarely states directly. Individuation, Jung's ultimate goal, the process of becoming a whole, integrated individual, not by adding things, but by uncovering what was always there. Peterson describes it as bearing your cross, picking up the heaviest weight you can carry, confronting the dragon. All the same thing, individuation. But here's what most people don't understand. Individuation isn't about success. It's not about happiness. It's not about achievement. It's about becoming real. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, but the cost is everything you thought you were." Peterson knows this. He's lived it. His own psychological collapse, his own descent into chaos, his own confrontation with the shadow. And when he emerged, he wasn't the same. He became more himself, but also less comfortable, less certain, less safe. Because once you see what Jung saw, once you experience the unconscious directly, you can't go back. You're awake, and you can't pretend anymore. Peterson says it like this: once you start telling the truth, you can't stop, because you've tasted something real, and everything else becomes unbearable. That's individuation. Not enlightenment, not transcendence, just reality. Raw, unfiltered, terrifying, beautiful, and it changes everything. So here's what Peterson won't tell you outright, but what he's been teaching all along. The world isn't just material. It's psychological. It's mythological. It's archetypal. The forces that shape history aren't just economic or political. They're psychic. Collective, unconscious currents rising and falling. Archetypes possessing entire nations. Shadows erupting into genocide. And on the individual level, the same thing. You're not just a biological organism. You're a meeting place, a battleground, a stage where archetypes play out their eternal dramas. The hero, the shadow, the anima, the wise old man, the dragon. They're all there, inside you. And the question is, will you engage with them consciously? Or will they control you unconsciously? Peterson's entire message, when you strip away the politics, the debates, the controversies, is this: wake up, pay attention, tell the truth, confront your shadow, integrate your darkness, navigate chaos, become who you are. Because if you don't, something else will, and it won't be kind. Jordan Peterson has spent decades translating Jung for a modern audience, disguising mysticism as psychology, wrapping ancient wisdom in scientific language. But the core message never changes. There are forces in the psyche, real forces, and they will either destroy you or transform you. The choice is yours, but you have to choose, because ignoring them is still a choice, and it's the most dangerous one. Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Peterson echoes, "If you don't pick up your responsibility voluntarily, it will be thrust upon you, and it will be worse." Same truth, different words. And both men know. Most people will ignore this. Most people will stay asleep. Most people will let the unconscious run the show until it's too late. The question is, are you most people? Or are you different? If this resonated with something in you, something you can't quite name but know is real, then you're ready for more. Subscribe to the Hidden Codex. Hit that notification bell, because we're just getting started. Next time, we're going even deeper into Jung's Red Book, into the visions, the entities, the dialogues with the unconscious that Jung himself feared to publish. You don't want to miss that. Until then, pay attention, tell the truth, and confront what you've been avoiding, because the unconscious is watching, and it's waiting to see if you're ready. Stay awake.